Have you ever felt like there's a vivid fire burning inside of you, yearning to break free and illuminate your life? That, my friend, is your vibrant life. It's waiting to bloom. Welcome to the Vibrant Life Podcast. We are here to empower women just like you to liberate that vibrant life, to live authentically, and to harness the power within. Our journey will take us through the enlightening realms of energy healing, goal setting, spiritual awakening, and so much more. We're stepping into the light of self-acceptance, of owning our power and our potential. If you have been yearning to dive headfirst into the world of entrepreneurship, or awaken your spirituality, or simply make peace with yourself, your search ends here at the Vibrant Life Podcast. As we embark on this enlightening journey, together we promise to hold your hand through every step of the journey to a more vibrant life. Your adventure to true empowerment and authentic living begins here. Tap into the vibrant life you've always dreamed of. Subscribe now and join us at the Vibrant Life Podcast. Embrace your vibrant self. Until then, shine on.
Hi, friends. So today Audrey is traveling, so you get me. See, just by myself. And last week, Audrey gave us a really great meditation to do during the Lionsgate portal. And then this week, I thought I would share with you a little bit about ADHD and entrepreneurship, because that's really where my focus is. And I think like a lot of us, we're out here trying to make more money. We're out here trying to build something of our own. And there's never been a better time to do that. And actually, a lot of us with ADHD also turn out to be entrepreneurs. There's a stat that someone with ADHD is like 400% more likely to do an entrepreneurship adventure. And so there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad that comes with that. And as someone who's been in the online space for quite a while and who has diagnosed ADHD, I thought maybe we would just chat on that, because I know maybe some of you can relate. And a lot of times it's me and Audrey talking back and forth. And since it's just me, I thought I'd kind of go through what I do with some of my clients, what I have experienced myself, and kind of share some of that with you. So hopefully you enjoy it. So I thought today we'd do kind of a deeper dive into how to use your unique ADHD traits to supercharge your business. So if you are someone who either runs a business as an entrepreneur, or you are someone who is thinking about running a business and you have ADHD, this would be a good episode for you. So, this is for those of us that, we've watched others succeed and we feel that gut-wrenching shame that comes with not knowing why we can't do it, but we know we're not living up to our potential. So we're going to address some strategies for that. If you are someone who gets distracted quite easily, it's kind of your constant companion, and you often find yourself prioritizing lower priority tasks instead of pulling in what's really going to push your business forward and what's going to kind of move that needle for you. We're going to address some of that as well. And then someone who, if you find yourself relating to spending tons of hours in your business, but you just feel like you're treading water, this could also apply to those of us that feel this way in our home lives. We're going to just address some strategies for this that I found through all of my research, all of my own life, and working with others as well. So to start out, I wanted to share a little bit about my journey. So who am I? I know you probably know a little bit more about me than someone who's just met me cold, since you are listening to the Vibrant Life Podcast. But I don't think Audrey and I have shared a lot about our background. So, I am a certified project manager. I've managed projects for myself, but also for large entities. Like this last project I did, I was coordinating between 30 different stakeholder organizations and trying to do a large integration for them. And that was like a 7-figure project. So I do have some background in project management. I am a serial entrepreneur. Obviously, I do this podcast with Audrey. For those of you that don't know, I'm also a single mom. I'm a huge Swiftie, if you couldn't tell by my Swiftie references. And if you're someone who loves personality types, I'm an Enneagram type 2, which means I'm a giver. I'm a helper. I love to see others thrive. I love to be part of that journey, but not necessarily up front and center with that journey, which is why I've decided that coaching is really a good fit for me. I love planners. I'm an overconsumer of planners and supplies. And, I have been known to say I could totally make that in Hobby Lobby. Whether or not I do is yet to be determined. It depends on which hobby I'm currently hyperfixating on. So that's a little bit more about me, specifically about my ADHD journey. Like most women, I wasn't diagnosed in my teens. My younger sister actually lived with me in my 20s, and she was diagnosed during that time. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't really know a whole lot about that. And then later, as I was going through TikTok and talking with her and some of my other siblings, I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I cannot tell you the relief I have found through the aha moments and the like, oh, that's why. Because like so many of us who are undiagnosed and we don't know why we're the way we are, I felt so much shame. And so I was so hard on myself for not being consistent and for not achieving the things I want to do. And I would set goals and try these, typical productivity hacks. And I was like, why can I not get this? Like, I am an ambitious person. I am a motivated person. Why can't I make this work for me? What I didn't know is along that time, I was creating coping mechanisms and ways that were working to try to fit me into that neurotypical box. But I was beating myself up along the way. And I was actually accumulating a lot of limiting beliefs. And I know a lot of you can probably relate to that as well. Like, I remember trying to be like, I'm going to work out for 30 days straight. And I would write out these huge long lists of like, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to do this. And then I would do it for a couple of days. And then I would kind of lose steam or it would fall off. And I would be like, I was trying to fit into this box of being perfect. And it just wasn't working. And then I realized that's not how my brain works. And I had a name for it. So now I can tame it. And so I took a lot of those coping mechanisms and I was able to create systems that actually work with my brain as I was learning about how it worked. And I was able to share those with other people and it was working for them too. And so that's really exciting. So I, probably didn't have that aha moment until like the pandemic time, like a lot of you. And then I've just, really leaned into this and learned how to leverage the superpowers that come with that and take the coping mechanisms that I already had and just amplify those and expand those. So with that, knowing now what we're dealing with, as probably you do it now as well, we have a lot of strengths that come with how our brains are wired, right? We have amazing creative problem solving skills. We have high energy and enthusiasm for things that excite us. We have this ability to hyper-focus on tasks and interests, right? We have a willingness to take risks. I think that's why so many of us are entrepreneurs or thinking about doing a side hustle or putting our hands in multiple different ways. We have lots of revenue streams because we're willing to take those risks and we have a lot of different interests. We're just curious. We approach the world with curiosity more than I think some neurotypical people do. We have strong intuition and gut feelings. We make decisions quickly. We are very passion driven. We're innovative thinkers. We're resilience and we have resilience and persistence because we grew up in a box that didn't fit for us and we were learning how to survive in that. And then now that we know how our brains work, we can thrive, right? So we have all these sparkly superpowers. We also have some challenges that come with that, right? We have time blindness. We sometimes have difficulty organizing. We have procrastination as our common sidekick, right? For the tasks that just aren't stimulating. We often skip planning steps and this leads to messy launches, right? I experienced this myself when I was trying to launch my first project. That was a flippin' mess, right? Now I know. And that's coming from the project manager. It was like, I know how to do this. Why am I not doing it? But now I've learned how to do the steps and I've grown my project management skills. But that's something that I've seen as a common thread amongst all of the entrepreneurs with ADHD that I have in my community, either that I've worked with or that I've just been like in masterminds with, right? We have that like hyper energy, we're high energy and enthusiasm. So we just want to go, go, go. And we want it to be done now. And that sometimes leads to some messiness. We also have some sensitivity and criticism rejection, right? Anyone feeling that? Like, it's definitely not them. It's always me. It's always me. Even if nothing's wrong, like I'm going to think you're mad at me. We also have a tendency to overcommit and take on too many projects, which I think when you are running your business, there's already this especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, there's already this idea that, it's all you, right? You're trying to do and juggle all the things. But we got into this business because we had so many ideas. We started this company because we want to make a difference and we want to see these things come to fruition. And so we have a tendency to overcommit just anyway in our lives, but then apply that to business and it's just expanded and amplified. Sometimes difficulty following through on tasks or finishing up those things in a bow, right? So if you're thinking of maybe if you're familiar with the agile project methodology, there's the retrospective at the end. That's where everything's tied up in a bow. You have a nice, neat package for your projects. If no one is holding you accountable, you might not do those things, right? Because you're on to the next project. Even before this project is maybe done, hello, messy launch, you're on to your next 12 ideas and trying to make those happen. And so sometimes that oversight or that wrap up kind of reflection piece gets missed a lot. And also we struggle with routine and repetitive tasks. And there's a lot of those in building a business, right? But while those challenges are there, they are not the end of the world, but they do come with some very real costs if we don't have strategies to manage those in our business, right? We might have wasted time and energy. Our product launches are delayed due to, those times where we just couldn't get our butts in gear, right? We couldn't sit down and do the tasks that we needed to do. We also have maybe lost opportunities. I had someone approach me to speak and I was just in this messy world in 2020, like most of us. And I completely forgot to follow up on her. Lost deals, lost opportunities. And that just is death to my soul. So once I realized that, I was I got to create a system around this. We have to figure out how to do this because we are leaving potential untapped, right? We could have thriving businesses, but our ADHD is just making that struggle. We're self-sabotaging because we do have all these limiting beliefs. Maybe from before you were diagnosed or before you had that aha moment, if you're self-diagnosed, you have some limiting beliefs and that is coming out in self-sabotaging. And so we need to address all of these to have a really thriving business. And our businesses don't exist in a bubble, right? I say that a lot. If you're on my email list for my side of the business and even in Vibrant Life Society, I say that we don't exist in a bubble. Everything touches on something else. So if we're self-sabotaging in our businesses, we're probably self-sabotaging in another area of our lives. And we'll probably have limiting beliefs that our ADHD might be a strong contributor to, right? So we need to work on that. And our rejection sensitivity sometimes can keep us playing small. If we don't have a coach, we don't have a mentor, we don't have friends or family that can help encourage us to play big, to play to our strengths, right? So let's talk about how we can address that. Because you all know, if you've been around here for a little bit, I'm big on actionable steps because I need to know what you want me to do, right? So I'm big on giving you actionable steps so you can actually see that moving forward. So first strategy that we're going to talk about today is tapping into your strengths, right? We need to identify where our ADHD and where we as personalities shine. What are those things that we do better than anybody else? And we want to amplify those in our business. And then we need to develop strategies to address the rest, whether that be hiring that out if you have the capital to do that, or we need to find tools and resources that are going to help us minimize that impact on us and help us automate those. So we'll talk about that as well. So I want to cover today finding your zone of genius. So this is a book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And he, in this book, asks us to think about the things we do in our lives and categorize them in 4 ways, okay? So you spend your life going between different zones. There's the zone of incompetence, competence, excellence, and genius, okay? This applies to both your personal life as well as within your business, okay? So Hendricks suggests that we gain more fulfillment and happiness when we spend more time on activities in our zone of genius. That checks out. That seems to equate, right? So when we think about these, we need to spend more time in our zone of genius to be successful in all areas of our lives, right? So the activities where you are competent or even excellent are probably where your competitors are at least capable, are also at least capable, right? But you can create the most value. Okay. This is where you are delivering for your customers. This is where you are delivering for yourself. This is where you are going to find the most satisfaction. Okay. So the zone of incompetence. Okay. We're starting at that lowest kind of tier. These are the things that you do, but you're not that great at doing, right? Like you don't really pay that much attention to, they bore you. You're not suited to them. So for those of us with ADHD, this is probably a lot of executive functioning tasks, right? This is filing things away. This is keeping our spaces tidy. This is, for me, like accounting. This could also be like time blindness, right? Where we're trying to shove too much into our days because we don't actually realize how much time 5 minutes is. It's only 300 seconds, right? But in our minds, if you say 5 minutes, that's going to be like, oh, I had so much time, right? But if I say you have 300 seconds, just that way of thinking about it. So anyway, that's the zone of incompetence. These are the things we need to develop strategies to compensate for, especially if they are business things, right? So these are the things that you are going to kind of push off or we need to automate, which is part of what I do with my clients, right? So then the zone of competence these are things that you're okay or even good at doing, and you can do these things, but they don't interest you that much, right? So you wouldn't go out of your way to get much better at them. So for me personally, this is video editing. This is why Audrey is fabulous. And I wish she was here today because I'm going to have to edit this video. Like I can do it. I'm competent at it. It is not my zone of genius. I would also include cooking in this. I do it because you have to do it to live. If I can outsource that sucker, sign me up. Anyone want to feed me and I am there, right? Like none of that is my forte. I'm not going out trying to get better at these things really. Like I am not gonna, go train as a chef. Ew, gross, my worst nightmare. Okay. These are the things that you do in life because you have to do them well, right? But these will be the first things that you probably hire out. Like as soon as I can, I hire out social media, right? Because that's just not my zone of genius. Okay. Your zone of excellence is that next step up. So these are the things that you do that you're good at and you probably enjoy doing and you're used to doing, right? They kind of come naturally. So you've enjoyed getting good at doing these activities, but you're not driven to become truly excellent at them. Okay. So if you did them every day for the next 10 years, you would become bored and frustrated. So for me, these are things like public speaking, interior design. Like I love it. I love hearing about it. I don't go out and buy all the architecture books, or I don't really care what style things are. I just like things to be pretty. Oh, so I enjoy these things. I'm good at these things. These are not things that I would say I am an expert in that field in, right? Like party planning. I love putting together a good party. I get excited about it, but I don't know all the ins and outs or the history of party planning. Okay. But I'm good at it. I can throw a banger, right? And it's going to look pretty while I'm doing it. So that's party planning. So for example, I'm pretty good at public speaking. It's something that I can do. I could definitely be better at it, but it stresses me out. And there are definitely people that are way better at it. And I'd much rather actually sit and have a client meeting, or I'd rather do something like this where we're doing a podcast or run a workshop. I love doing those things. But I could get up in front of a group of people and do a presentation, right? And I'd be competent, or if not good at it, okay? So that's your zone of excellence. But a key point here is your zone of excellence can become dangerous because it's where most of us tend to spend most of our time rather than in our zone of genius, okay? So the author guy Hawkins says, he describes it as being stuck in a rut of comfortably numb, right? When we're living in our zone of excellence. It's good, but we don't have that spark of joy. Okay. And I think this maybe tends to be more for the neurotypical people, because we do as ADHD have our hyper fixation moments, but we are able to live in our zone of genius and even our zone of excellence more if we can address these zones of incompetence and competence, okay, with systems. And we're going to get to that here in just a minute. So what is your zone of genius? Okay. So the zone of genius are the activities that you most love to do. They are the ones that you get up in the morning and think, great, I'm going to do this today. For me, it's I get to speak with clients today, or I get to plan a new product launch today, or I get to design something new in Canva. I get to make a podcast call. Like, I flippin' love doing those things, right? So ideally, in your work and in your business, these zones of genius are activities are the ones that bring money in for you, right? That's the kind of business we need to be building, where you are able to live within your zone of genius. Maybe they don't contribute money directly, or maybe, people don't pay you for this activity exactly, but they're part of your unique way of doing things and bringing value to your customer, which means that your business is unique or better than the rest because you are living in your zone of genius and you're bringing that forward within your company. And if you're not, we need to address that, right? So think of your zone of genius as things that you would do even if you didn't have to do them for your business. So like, in theory, we don't have to do podcast calls, but I love doing them. I love providing resources to people. And so that's why I designed them this way. I could happily spend my day doing that. Like, it feels great. So for you, that might be, like gardening, or it might be in spreadsheets. My sister is a freaking whiz at spreadsheets. That is not my gifted area, right? Or my little brother also does that. Audrey's zone of genius is like talking to people and just making people feel loved and welcome. Like, that is her zone of genius. So mine are, strategy. I love a good strategy session. Love it. It is where I get excited. When I have someone come and say to me, hey, I don't know how to put this together, or I'm working on this project today. I'm like, oh, yes, love it. Give it to me. I will help you. I love motivating people. I love connecting people. I love networking and bringing this person in and connecting them to this person, and they both have a mutually beneficial experience. Like, I love coaching. I love learning new skills. I love product design. I like to create new products. I love to create in Canva. We've talked about that. I love building community. So these are all my zone of genius. And if you look at the businesses that I have with Vibrant Life Study, these are around our zone of geniuses, right? This is why we chose to design it the way that we did. So if you're like, Cassie, I don't know how to identify my zone of genius, here are a few questions actually from the book, but that I'm going to pass on to you. So what do I most love to do? What work do I do that doesn't seem like work? In my work, what produces the highest ratio of abundance and satisfaction to the amount of time spent? So, and then what is my unique ability? I would also say, what are the things that I consistently am able to hyper-focus in? When I sit down at my desk and I am like, oh, I get to outline a new product today, I can easily tap into my hyper-focus superpower, right? So ask yourself that. That might help you identify your zone of genius. I also love researching things. I can easily get lost in research. So those are some of those things that we can tap into, right? So once you kind of have an idea of what your zone of genius is, and actually probably more important for the rest of this discussion is where your zones of incompetence and competence are, we need to then move on to leveraging tools and systems for efficiency, right? Luckily, we are in the age of AI. So now it's easier for those of us with ADHD and executive dysfunction to thrive in business than it ever has before, okay? And so part of what I do with my clients and what I do within my job and my own business is find ways that we can automate things, because there are things within my zone of incompetence that are just part of being in business, right? Every entrepreneur has to do it. Every human being has to do certain things to keep us alive and keep our children alive. So what are the ways that we can automate those? So here's a couple product recommendations that I have found work well for me. So get yourself a project management software if you don't have this. And I use this also in my personal life. So whether you're listening to this as an entrepreneur or you're listening to this as someone who is happy in, your corporate job, whatever, but maybe you have ADHD, get yourself a project management tool. If you need help implementing it, let me know. I've also got some templates. So I've tried them all. I like Asana. That's kind of the phase that I'm in now. Trello is good. It's free. So especially for your personal life, just use Trello. I like the ClickUp feature, which Asana doesn't have, which is annoying, but a whole different thing. ClickUp is fabulous. It's much more powerful than a lot of solo entrepreneurs need. But I know everyone's brain works differently. So I've done them all, and I can give you some pros and cons if you have questions about it. As far as automating and integrating, again, we're in the age of AI, right? So we can do things within our business that weren't possible even 6-7 years ago when I first, kind of started looking at doing online business and doing blogs and doing product launches. Like, some of this didn't exist. So we have Zapier. You can integrate things, you can automate things that you didn't even know you had, right? So that's probably my go-to for that. Also, a new one that I'm really, really enjoying is Marketing Magic app. This is an AI app that protects your intellectual property, because ChatGPT, while great and a huge resource, it's going to take whatever you input and it's going to use that to help recommend things for other people. And so if you're putting in your intellectual property, you're kind of giving that away. But this app, I have a link to it if you're interested. I love it. It's completely streamlined so much of my business and my content creation. To-dos, especially for personal, is this Twos app. My sister, who also has ADHD, swears by this app. She loves this for just quick to-dos instead of the full Notes app. Personal care apps. I am currently thriving in my Finch app era. This is a little bird. It's like you're the Tamagotchi, but it's like self-care for you. Like, you are the thing you're trying to keep alive. But you guys, when I tell you I have a 60-day streak, which means I have done this 60 days in a row. I don't think I've ever done anything 60 days in a row. That's not like my Duolingo streak where it will freeze it for a couple days. No, this is just 60 straight days. And before that, I had a 28-day streak. This has changed my life, and it's helping me rewrite my limiting belief that I am not capable of consistency, right? So super fun. I love it. It's super cute. My whole family's in it. You can send each other little notes and things. It's super cute. One I'm seeing recently that I'm just kind of starting to research is Today is the Day. It's marketed towards people with ADHD, and I'm just kind of digging into that. On a personal side, for your budgeting, YNAB is You Need a Budget. This is the only app that I found. I've tried a couple other budgeting apps. This is the one that actually, now that I understand it, works with my ADHD brain, because you can move money around to support your impulsive purchases. Cool, right? You spend more on TikTok Shop than you thought you were going to. No problem. You're just going to cover with another category. So YNAB. Content delivery, Canva. Flowdesk is one that I like. Later, Lead Pages. System.io is one that I'm leaning into as well. So those are some actual product or tool recommendations. So next step for this section is go back and look at your zones of incompetence and competence and choose one area that you want to create a system over. If you want help implementing it, let me know. This is something that I do with my one-on-one clients. We, in a systematic way, go through and streamline all of these and automate as much as we can, because we want your business to be fun and we want you to spend more time in your zone of incompetence. You can also do this on your own. You don't have to work with me one-on-one. You can address each section of your zone of incompetence and competence and start implementing tools that are going to help you streamline your life so that you can spend more time and thrive, right? So the last strategy of really thriving and approaching your business with confidence as an ADHD person is building a supportive environment. And when I say this, I mean both in a community sense, which, we're all about that here at Vibrant Life Society, right? We started this community because mom needs a positive space to just be more than a mom, right? To have that be okay, for you to grow personally and professionally and within your relationships. That is the whole spirit behind Vibrant Life Society. And it's especially important for those of us with ADHD to have fellow entrepreneurs that understand that struggle, right? But also your physical space. Okay. And so we want to develop this in kind of two prongs. So we want to develop supportive systems because we want to be able to trigger consistent focus work and not always kind of depend on our hyper focus to get us through that, right? So we want to build foundational skills around time awareness and time blindness. This is something, again, that I do with my clients, and we'll probably get into more here at Vibrant Life Society as well. We want to design a schedule around your energy levels and attention span, right? And as we know, it's not one size fits all. We don't fit into the traditional box. We need some more flexibility. And so creating systems within your business that will help you take that day off if you need it, that will help you step away from something if you're going to need to recharge. Because while we have these hyper-focused kind of sprints that we can get into, we also need more recovery than I think other people do. And so we need to build systems that support that and build our schedules around our energy levels. Another aspect to this that I've kind of been learning about, and I think I mentioned this actually before on the podcast, but is leaning into your cycle, your menstrual cycle as a woman, right? There's an app called the Agenda app, and it helps you track your cycle and actually attaches what business activities you can be doing that will fit those energy levels. Now, that's to say if you have a normal cycle, you're not dealing with PCOS or PMDD like I was previously. But that's just another tool that you can use. But I really learned how to do this when my PMDD was at its worst, right? Because in the 10 days before my cycle began, I went into a deep depression. Every month, it was a freaking roller coaster. So I had to build my business that supported that, because you can't build a business and then have it stop mid-month for 2 weeks and then kind of go back into that. So that's where I became such a huge proponent in efficiency and automation and project management that aligned with this, but you have to marry that with your energy levels. Okay? If you want to learn more about that, I'm pretty open about a lot of things in my life. Clearly, I started a podcast, but you are free to ask me about that. I'm happy to share the resources that have worked for me, or if you think you might be dealing with that. And also if you want to learn how to build energy levels or to build a schedule around your energy levels, I'm happy to talk to you about that. We also want to create systems and structures to keep you on track and focused, right? There's nothing worse than sitting down and being like, what am I going to do today? Because our paralysis, right? Our task paralysis is going to be like, oh, you're going to lay on the couch all day, right? Or you're going to be so overwhelmed by your to-do list that you're going to freeze and go find a distraction to do instead. Like my house is never cleaner than when I'm procrastinating on something, right? So we don't want to rely on willpower alone. We need to create systems that support that will work for us, ADHD folks, right? One thing to not overlook is your actual working environment. So where you sit down to work, right? We do want to minimize distractions, but you also need background noise. So I really like working to ADHD playlists. I also am a big proponent of the Pomodoro method, where I just have noise in the background and I have it time sensitive, like time blocked as well. Also making sure you're comfortable. Okay. So if you're a drink goblin like myself and you need a drink to hydrate, a drink to caffeinate, and then you have your funsy drink, like make sure you have all of those before you sit down. Okay. Make sure, one thing that I've been really liking, and actually I'm doing it right now, is I'm sitting on my couch, but I have my stand-up desk that actually rolls over to it. And this kind of traps me in, so I can't pop up and be distracted all the time, right? So I've kind of created this work environment that is designed to help me tap into my hyper-focus, right? So I hope this helped. I hope you didn't get bored of just listening to me. If you want to learn more about working with me, you know where to find me. You can find me at CassiAnsel.com, or you can reach out to me here at Cassi at Vibrant Life Society, and I'm happy to work with you. If you have questions, I would love to hear from you. Find us on TikTok, Instagram, Vibrant Life Societies, and all of those. Make sure you're liking and following. And I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I would love any feedback that you have. Next steps for you, and you'll find this in the podcast call that I'm about to go create, is identify your zone of genius, my love, and choose a process or a product that you want to streamline to help you streamline your life or your business, or ideally both. And then evaluate your space, make some tweaks. Do you need, more plants in your space to make you feel better? Oh, one thing I was going to talk about, I know not all of us work from home. So if you're developing your space, right? If you're in a cubicle and you're like, how do I make this space cozy and feel like me and surround myself with things I love? Well, you could bring in like your favorite tumblers. For me, when I was working in an office, like I liked to have my planner in there, or my favorite notebook. You can have your pens. Like they're just little things that make this space feel like yours, right? Probably more than other people. I've worked in both just an open environment space where like I didn't have cubicle walls. And for that, it was just, having my playlist that I liked. I would have my sweatshirt or my, blanket that I was going to wrap around me. You can kind of create this cozy space that's going to help you really focus in. And then, I would have all my drinks with me so that if I did tap into that hyper focus space, it wasn't going to be my, need to go refill my Diet Mountain Dew that broke me out of it if I was kind of in that zone of genius. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I'll link to the podcast file if I can figure out how to do that, since Audrey normally does. But I love you all and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you for tuning into the Vibrant Life podcast. We hope today's episode has energized and inspired you to live your best life. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so as to never miss an episode. And please take a moment to leave us a review. Your feedback fuels our mission to bring more valuable content. Remember, your journey to Vibrant Life is ongoing. Stay connected with us on social media at Vibrant Life Society for daily tips, motivation, and community support. As we wrap up today's conversation, we encourage you to embrace each moment, pursue your passions, and prioritize your well-being. Together, let's create a life that radiates with energy and purpose. Until next time, live vibrantly. See you in our next episode.